So I would like to open the agenda for the Georgetown Planning Board, August 1st, 2018 meeting. We're in Memorial Town Hall on the third floor conference room. It's a few minutes after 7 o'clock. We have minutes, some vouchers, one correspondence item in addition to others from budding towns. We have 2 items under Planning Office, Lake Ridge Drive, the dock certification, Parish Road, OSRD, and then we have 1 A&R. And then we have member or public concerns at the end. And to that, I just wanted to give you a heads up. So I have 2 updates for you at the end. One is just the light department update, and the other is the G Mello meeting that I emailed you all about. And they're just updates. There's nothing really much to report on that. So with that, let's go to the minutes.
Mr. Chairman,
Sir.
if you will hear the motion, I would like to approve the minutes of June 13th, 2018, with any corrections noted by the board.
Second?
Motion has been made and it's been seconded to approve the minutes for June 13th, 2018. Any discussion? The only discussion I have is on line item 56, where the board authorized John to issue a memo to Park and Rec about working for BSC and that Larry Graham couldn't do that. By any chance, John, were you ever able to do that?
To check with Larry.
To let Park and Rec know that Larry couldn't and that we strongly recommended that they work with BSC to help them?
Yeah.
Okay, good, all right. Any other discussion? What?
It's not relevant to the minutes, so.
Okay, good enough. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
As a follow-up,
Please, go ahead.
I believe I saw something that Park and Rec is bringing Gale Associates on board to do this, to do the update. That was my understanding.
So they're repeating the same process that they went through before, without help?
Probably, it probably will save a great deal of money because when you bring somebody else in, re-engineer, redraw, redo.
Learn every line.
Yeah, I mean.
No, I don't mean that. So we all last time, as a board, agreed to notify them that to help them put together and to work with whoever's designing it, because it was clear that they were out of their element. It wasn't to have a second team take over the design. It was to have a team that was professional to help them work with the design team because of what happened last time.
I think it's as far as figuring out what's necessary for the bid to complete all the elements of the end, the rest, everything that needs to be done.
I just hope the message was clear and we don't go through the same thing again where Gail does the same kind of work and we end up with all the questions and going around in circles again.
Larry's willing to be the field inspector.
No, I understand that. But do you all understand the issue I'm talking about? Okay, all right. So moving on to vouchers,
Of which there are many.
of which there are.
I move to approve the voucher for MVPC 2017-2018 digital aerial photography pictometry for $3,204.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Wait a minute, are you looking at the new agenda?
No. That's
No,
for
no.
next, that's for next meeting. That's a
Oh,
different one.
sorry.
Yeah. I'll have that totally.
I tell you, I
That's
have
for
one
my
comment
map.
about that My Map. I think they supposedly made it more user-friendly. It's horrible. It's just my opinion. I just
It takes
do
some getting-
not like the way it's set up.
It takes some getting used to.
Have you tried it?
I haven't known.
We're relearning.
Yeah.
It's a problem with technology. It changes so fast and people, unless it's your specialty, you can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah, the My Map technology, the old My Map technology, it couldn't support all the elements that are in there. That's
They're
really dense.
absolutely no good if you can't get them.
Right. I mean, the thing is learning an application. It's not, that's it, right?
This is actually the old.
That's
one
the old
right
one.
now.
This is the old one.
Yeah.
And it's probably gonna crash in the middle of the meeting and then we'll have to go to the,
how the heck you getting it.
As long as the hardware.
How you getting
I'm all
it?
right.
How you
Are
getting
we
it?
going to
So-
get some training with this?
Well, anyway, so we're getting off track on the vouchers.
Yes, sir.
So we have that voucher in front of us.
Move, and the
We had
motion
a motion,
to.
it was seconded. Any more discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous on that voucher?
I move to
Mr.
approve.
Ch- I'm sorry,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, do you wanna start passing around the, just a lot of signatures here tonight?
I move to approve the voucher for Merrimack Valley Planning Commission for fiscal 19 assessment in the amount of $3,059.60.
Second.
Motion has been made and been seconded to approve MVPC assessment voucher in the amount of $3,059.60. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. There's that one.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the voucher for the American Planning Association Massachusetts Chapter annual dues for fiscal year 19 for $375.
Wait a second.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
So it's been motioned and seconded to approve the voucher for the American Planning Association's Mass Chapter annual dues in the amount of $375. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous on that voucher.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the voucher for Schwab Inc. For nameplate for $16.75.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and it's been seconded to approve the Schwab Inc. Planning Board member nameplate in the amount of $16.75. Any discussion? I have discussion. And who might that be? Welcome again. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous on that voucher?
You're supposed to recuse.
I move
Okay.
to approve the
I-
voucher for
I don't approve
HL
it.
Graham Associates,
Abstain.
198 East Main Street, for $295.
Second.
Motion has been made and it's been seconded to approve HL Graham Associates voucher for 198 East Main Street in the amount of $295. Any
Question, Mr.
discussion?
Chairman? That's for, the park, right? 198 East Main Street, that's the park?
I think so, yeah.
This one, 295?
Yeah.
Yes, that was for that one.
What's the account, John?
There is money established in there.
For, that's an M account number, isn't it? Whose?
It must be from the previous sum submission or inspections,
So this is invoice date of June 18th, Harry?
previous
so
years.
Was work done,
No, I'm looking at the account number.
Oh.
First column on the left,
yeah?
where it's coming from.
Oh, I see.
And I am reluctant to sign away Park and Rec's account.
Why don't we verify that and table this one?
I'll go with that.
Sounds good.
I mean, I'm ready to sign, but the number has to be right.
Yep.
Okay, so that voucher will be tabled until the next meeting.
I move to, sir? I move to approve the voucher for Staples office supplies for $69.37.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion has been made and it's been seconded to approve the voucher to Staples for office supplies in the amount of $69.37. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that is unanimous. Okay, so I'm gonna finish my signatures.
Do you really think she needs to recuse herself from signing this?
It's okay, I don't need to sign.
Yeah, but
That's pretty deep.
I'm the guy that walked away from,
3,
what was it, 210 Street there, remember?
4,
Because of New Dorothy.
yours and mine.
Yeah, I know. I knew Dorothy had no.
It's the appearance of the conflict.
I
It's not the
understand.
conflict,
Oh, I
it's the
understand.
appearance of
I
the conflict.
understand. Gotta hide it better then. doesn't care.
All in there. Found their own book here,
Okay.
except for one.
Yeah.
Alright. So, moving on to correspondence, there were 10. 9 of them are from adjacent towns. One was specific to us, which was the Commonwealth of Mass Office of Attorney General in their letter with regards to the warrant articles review status. John, you want to just give a summary of that?
Which one was that now?
This is the first one in the correspondence.
Yes. The Attorney General did pass all of the articles as they were approved at town meeting. They're still holding in reserve the OSRD. And they said they'd let us know by the 20th of this month, which is the deadline. So for our next meeting, which is the 22nd, I put that as an agenda item, just to bring everybody up to speed with whether or not we have to do it over again. So,
Do we know why they are holding on that?
they didn't explain it, but I think it has to do with the error that I made in not including the affordable housing element. Right now, if it doesn't include if it's 6 or less housing units in a development, it doesn't have an affordable housing component.
Oh, that was a little, like a Scribner error, wasn't it?
Right. And it was appropriately approved by town meeting through proper amending.
Correct.
But, yeah,
So how would that come up? That's weird.
very weird.
Okay, whatever.
The other thing too is it's a special permit, and you know what? They like to stretch the whole 90 days. They like to give themselves the 90 days.
Yeah.
They really do. I've seen that before.
I'll be surprised if they don't approve it, but
Yeah, I will be too.
Well,
Okay.
If they give the 90 days, then they don't have to look at it.
Right, in the 20, you know, that's why they,
we'll just,
How'd you like to have laws like that in Georgetown?
Any
Mr.
other
Chairman?
discussion on the correspondence?
just a quick thing about the correspondence.
Yeah.
When you dig down deep into these, I think there's only like one that right now we could go to the meeting, the hearing for.
Correspondence?
Yeah, because they're all in the past. The hearings have all passed. I love that they're all put into the agenda and we get them and discuss them at the meeting. But would it be possible when these come in, you know, within a couple of days to just blast out a copy of them to the board? Because they usually are 14-day notices and we have more than 14 days between our hearings, between our meetings, so.
That's a good point.
If we did want to actually participate,
Yeah,
it's too late. It's gone by. The train left the station.
yeah.
see what the problem is, they send them out when they're legally required to send them out.
Right.
So we get the hard copy of them.
Right,
And,
yeah. That's a week later.
yeah.
Yeah, by the
And it's
time,
it's the timing of when they send them. They send them
Right.
when they send them to everybody else, which is that 14-day period.
yeah.
And it never, doesn't really coincide very well with what our meeting schedule is. That's what the
That's why
problem is.
a scan and an email out and just, this is the correspondence that was sent. I'm not saying we don't deal with it at the meeting. By all means, we definitely deal with it at the meeting and have it
Yeah.
in the agenda and in the minutes, but.
Yeah, yeah, that's one way. Just in case you're curious and, or actually want to attend any of these.
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember anyone ever, exclaiming at a board meeting that, oh, that's an interesting thing, I'd like to follow up on that.
Mhm.
So, no. I mean,
I don't even.
I did have a question about the third one, that there's a grow, they want to put a grow facility on Route 1, or Raleigh does. So Healthy Farms is gonna get some competition local quick, and I'm wondering, are they moving forward in the process? Because I hear that out in Holyoke, there's an approval, and
Yeah, no, we're actually having a hearing on Healthy Farms retail application at our 22nd meeting, so.
Interestingly enough, this says product manufacturer which sounds like a grow facility, but not necessarily a retail.
They have all different layers of it,
Mhm.
how they're doing it.
And there's also the transformation of the bud to waxes and
Sure, everything.
distillates and all kinds of crazy
Yep.
stuff.
Well, I certainly will
Okay.
support if the board wants to do that. Personally, for me, in the world of trying to manage email and how busy the world is with communications, I have no interest in getting this as a special email. I'm totally comfortable with the way it's been happening. I haven't seen anybody go to any of these since I've been on the board, and that's just me. I think this has worked fine, but if the board wants to have this as a special exercise for the planning department to send to you all, it's up to you guys.
The point is, Rob, I don't think it would hurt, because some of these are from May, June, do I see? So if we even wanted to go to them, it's too late.
No, if that's what the board wants to do, yeah, I'll support
I
it.
don't think it would hurt, or.
Could Andrea do it maybe, so that it doesn't
Yeah,
drag down on you?
What I'll do is just have her, when they come in, just scan them and send them out.
That's it.
Yeah.
As
So wait a
long
minute,
as
so,
it doesn't
so,
impact
so
other
we're
stuff
gonna be
you do.
getting one email now, and then another email a day later, and then another email a day later, that's not okay with me.
Well, then maybe you should take your name off of the email list and just send it to the rest of us.
Well, how does the
Whoever
rest of,
wants
how
it.
does the rest of the board feel about that?
I look at it as though
So,
this is
I know
from
where you
May.
stand. How-
We had, May, we
Joanne,
had
what-
8 of them.
What's your take, and I'll support what the majority of the board wants to do. I
I'm
just
not
don't
gonna
wanna- I
go,
just
I
don't
don't
wanna
have
be
the
getting
time.
I don't know if
have
I would
other
pay
stuff there.
attention to it.
Yeah.
Like you said, I think I would just, you know, I'm just trying to figure everything out anyway.
Yeah.
So I think I'm probably like, oh, well, it's not important as other things are, so.
One of the things we could do.
Is there another way to do it?
Well, one way is that, I'm sure you don't want to have a, petition sent to you. It has to do with the variance for a shed or, a house being built in another town. But if it's of something of noteworthy, get it out. Like a solar
Make
farm,
make
for
a
instance.
judgment,
But who would make that judgment call? Would you?
planning department.
No, yeah, you.
If like it's a big solar farm right on the border of the town that,
I think that's a compromise that works for me, and that it's trying to limit, so not every single one of these, I mean, there's how many here? 10, that means if they went out separately, you'd be getting 10 hits. And, if you edit it, that would be a compromise that, again, I'm willing to support if you guys wanna do that.
Again, I'm probably not going to make use of it, but that's,
So,
if it's not an onerous task, if it's something
well,
that's
the
not gonna.
easiest way to do it, they just, like I have already, is the address list for the planning board.
Yeah.
Just tap it and scan it and send it out. Yeah.
Perfect,
Okay.
yeah.
all right,
That
so,
sounds simple.
okay.
I did want to ask also about this large-scale photovoltaic facility on Weathersfield Street.
What number is that?
No, I'm sorry, that's number 4. Weathersfield Street is fairly close to Georgetown,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, there were a number of residents, Georgetown residents, that came in to look at the GIS.
Okay, so as a
Aerials
butters, they
show.
were,
Yeah.
excellent, that's really all I was concerned.
Yeah.
Make sure people know.
Okay, so that takes care of correspondence. Let's see, moving on to planning office. We have 13 Lake Ridge Drive, and I guess what I'd like to do is first go to John for an update. And,
For this meeting, board members did get in their packet an update on what's going on with this. It includes a string of emails, and then a new packet that was labeled A, and that's new documentation that Bruce was able to put together for this meeting. This is actually take 2, and I think we crossed all the Ts and dotted all the Is this time. There's no holes in this one? All right, I think we're ready.
Bruce?
I'm Bruce Freed from 13 Lake Ridge Drive, and I'm here just to ask for approval on Mass Chapter 91 general license for my dock on Rock Pond. Gone through the process, filled out the the form, the application form for the DEP, paid the fees, and I have notified the planning board. Actually, I'm here. Had a meeting with the Conservation Commission and was approved. Notified the Board of Selectmen and the Harbor Master and all of my abutters as well. I have the green cards, which I've supplied in a copy form. If you need the actual green cards, you can have them. And I ran the ad again as required. And I think we've all seen, it's a dock that is got a plank, a gangway of 4 by 15 feet with a dock of actually 8 by 10 feet, which is, I'd say, average or, you know, size for Rock Pond, maybe smaller than most. And just looking for approval so I can get the DEP license and file it with the Registry of Deeds. It's that simple.
John, is it an approval that we're?
No, it's a matter that the planning board, this is a quasi-public hearing. If anybody did show up, proponents or opponents, we listen to them. What it boils down to, we have the selection of either forwarding comments to DEP or not. And at the last meeting, we chose to forward favorable comments to the DEP that we have no problem with the proposed dock.
So did we do that again?
Yeah, just
Okay.
to formalize
So
it.
just to check, I don't think there's anyone in the audience who's here for that, okay?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, the only defect that was from the last one was the lack of notification.
To the
Now that we're
abutters, yep.
notified, and
Redo.
You're a case study for how to do this.
I am. Actually,
I'm sorry to say.
That's
Consultant.
okay, but also,
Okay.
I'm on the board of the Mass CoLab, the Coalition of Lakes and Ponds, and we're gonna probably put this process on the website based on my experience to make it easier, you know, to help other people that wanna do it. Because
That's
lot
a
of people-
great thing to do,
And a lot of people don't
really.
even realize
Progress.
that a posted dock on a great pond in Massachusetts needs to be registered with the DEP. So we're gonna put that up there.
That's great.
sometime next month, yeah.
It really is, and I
Terrific.
admire your fortitude and focusing this. What a pain.
So looking for a motion to support and forward with no comments to the DEP, something to that effect.
So
Just-
moved.
So moved or something to that effect.
So the motion has been made and it has been seconded to recommend approval to the DEP from the Georgetown Planning Board and that we support the project. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Who
you,
was the
Bruce.
second?
Thank you all.
Thank you,
You're the
Bruce.
man.
I think, who seconded
Some
that?
serious deja vu.
I seconded it.
Harry did.
I seconded
Guys all
that.
just love seeing me, that's
Oh,
what came
yeah.
back.
It's good you got to say it twice to the public, anyway.
Well,
Maybe
come
it'll
on
sink
back
in.
and volunteer. We
I'll
got
just
an
come back
empty
to the-
chair right here.
Our next
Look at your
meeting
new
is,
nameplate.
Yeah, hey.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to
You made it big time, yeah.
Parish Road, OSRD Form H request by applicant for an extension of time through December 31st, 2018. John, you wanna just give a brief overview on that?
Yes, this is another matter that, after a second look, the applicant has requested that we have the initial public hearing on our first meeting in September. That had to do with vacation issues, but also proper notice to abutters. So everything's been done properly now, leading up to our September 12th meeting. And they also have results of Mr. Graham's peer review.
Okay.
So they're busy revising their plans accordingly.
Just a word of caution, please, don't have them show up with revised drawings with us not being able to review them in time.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
'Cause-
so,
okay.
for that meeting packet, I am expecting that they'll have the plans, most recently revised plans for the board to review. Yeah.
Did they have to put a legal ad for the site approval?
Yes, yeah,
So they got to
absolutely,
do
yeah,
that.
and the abutters notification.
So,
That's technically, right now, that's pending. It's all ready to go, but it's too early to advertise for that September meeting.
Okay.
so looking for a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to extend the time for decision to December 31st, 2018 for Parish Common OSRD site development site plan approval.
Second.
Motion has been made and it's been seconded to authorize and accept Form H request by applicant for extension of time for Parish Road OSRD through December 31st, 2018. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, and you've signed it?
Yes, sir.
All right, so this book is done, John. Give that to you.
Excuse me.
Should I continue the hearing, Mr. Chairman?
Or should I continue the
Are we,
hearing?
are we gonna open the hearing?
That was just for Form H,
Okay.
right?
Are we opening and continuing, or we're not?
No,
We're not doing
We're
any
not,
of that?
no.
we're not doing.
That's
I
all
don't
being
think-
done ministerially, for the record.
Yeah.
It's being
So that's
ministerially done.
September 12th, when we do have, that will be the initial hearing. There'll be a hearing of which everybody's been properly noticed,
Okay.
and then we'll begin. And we do have a continuation from what has been submitted till the December 31st date.
So moving on to 27 Tenney Street and 1 Patches Lane, the A&R submittal plan. You wanna give us
Yes, the property owners are here this evening to go over this with the board, the proposed lot line exchange, otherwise known as an approval not required plan. And board members did get a copy of this plan in their packet. It's pretty well easily explained, I would imagine, for everybody to see what they're doing. It's an even swap of land along Patches Lane and between lots 1 and 2. And it's somewhat of a lengthy motion. I know the board really doesn't like lengthy motions on this, but you might want to paraphrase it.
So we'll go to the applicant, and if you could just for the record introduce yourselves, and then if you wanted to say a few words or not.
Jeannie Nevins of 27 Tenney Street.
And Mike Paglia of 1 Patches Lane. So, yeah, just an equal exchange of land, be a good neighbor. Patches Lane basically runs very close to Jean's property, and her deck is on my property. So there's a little shed on there what's gonna get moved as well, but just, you know, moving in, I never even noticed it when we bought the home, and then just thinking about putting up a stone wall or something, and she
Yeah.
came one day and said, "Hey, did you ever look at our plans? My house is almost on your property line." So we just figured, you know, Patches Lane is actually, it's wetlands, it's woods. My driveway is Patches Lane, there's no road there. So paper road or whatever you call it. So we had it surveyed professionally, mapped out the lot lines, and, you know, just swapping her yard for some, I guess, some additional wetlands.
The back of my yard for the part of the side of his property, to the right of my house.
Right?
That's your home? So,
Yeah, that's
your
mine,
front porch.
right. And
Side porch,
we
and that's
found
the
out
frontage, so the frontage
I
doesn't
thought
change on either.
when I
to-
bought the house, the fence was there, and the
Mm.
deck was there. And when I had it surveyed, because I actually thought I was a little longer, I found out that the surveyor said this is the actual property line. So working with Mike, and the surveyor, it was like if I give up something in back here, and he gives, and I give that to him, and he gives me as much as he can legally, because I guess you can only go so far within a road, a driveway or something. So the parameters have been met by the surveyor as far as keeping the opening of the driveway to the proper size, and the distance from what would be the end of my lot line to his driveway would be Patches to, would be the proper size. So we're just hoping for an even swap.
Okay?
And as it turns out, if I'm not mistaken, John, please correct me, it's a square foot for square foot swap.
Yeah.
Identical, the acreage doesn't change either way.
So you can build your wall,
Jean can.
you can build your wall.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions? I have a few, but I'll wait till the end.
No, I think it's,
So I totally get it, makes all the sense in the world, I'm total support of it. I just have some questions, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to answer these. And,
Okay.
because they may be the surveyor's questions, but
Yeah.
I just don't understand, and they're technical questions, they're not about the plan.
Okay. Give it a shot, maybe.
On the on the meets and bounds of the property line that runs parallel to Tenney Street, they give,
Parallel to Tenney Street, okay, I'm looking at it right now.
so they give.
So you're talking on my property line there, or the
so
one
right-
that's
yeah,
on
so
Tenney?
Right along here,
Sure,
this meet.
yep,
So they give bearings to it, but they give two bearings, two deltas, and I don't understand where they're coming from.
so there's,
Normally, there would only be one.
so I think so where Patches Lane opens up is one, and then where the property line of 1533 Tenney Street, that's the second one.
So that's clear.
Oh, okay. So there's four, yeah, I mean, there's four stakes, you know, basically where the, you know,
If I hold this up to you
Yeah.
here,
You're talking about the 170 length?
right here, there's one bearing. So this is clear.
okay, yeah,
That's legit.
yep,
Makes sense.
yep,
Here,
okay,
there's one bearing here, there's another bearing here. The radiuses are correct. This is a 280 radius.
yeah.
But then they have these two different, and I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't know
I
that.
don't know
That's-
why
that's
there would be
yours,
two
Gene.
different bearings there.
Yeah. I don't know
If you
that.
could answer that, that'd be great, but I wasn't expecting.
I don't know that. I'd have to ask Adam, the surveyor there.
Um,
Donahoe.
The other question for the surveyor, I guess, is the length of 425 feet, 10 inches. I couldn't match up.
Is that on the back of my property in the woods?
It's that same bearing that I was pointing to before, and what's coming up for me.
I don't know what's,
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but what's coming up for me is there's a leftover piece of information here from, that doesn't wanna be on there, but I can't be sure.
oh, I see what you're saying, okay.
Um,
We can ask it.
so, John, Harry, whether those are correct or not, let's
He's going
assume-
from there. He's going, the 425 is from the iron pipe,
Right,
from the corner.
Which,
All that iron pipe at the corner of, up here. Just scaling it out, rough scale fingers.
yeah,
This point, right,
yep,
out to here. Get 8. Get your 8, your 425. When I say 8, 850s. See it?
so this is,
Yeah.
but I don't, this is 30 scale. So if 1 inch
Well, no,
equals 30,
I'm just, 2 fingers are 50 feet. Because the 50-foot wide right away. I'm just going like this.
Okay, so you're
because I can
using-
cover the whole right away
But the
of
re-
patches. And that gives me 50 feet.
okay, so
I'm
you're
going-
using that to measure.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm out to
25,
this guy here.
okay. So anyways, I guess the question then that just comes back to me, does it even matter? Let's, for sake of discussion, let's say that the two bearings are incorrect for whatever reason, just for sake of
Say
discussion.
they're both wrong?
One of them's wrong and one of them's right. There's an extra piece of information on here, but there's something not correct. Does it matter for an A&R what we're doing?
I disregard it myself personally. Yeah, it's a survey. It's an opinion. I mean, another survey could go out there and find a different survey, and that's what land court's all about. 2 surveyors saying, one saying it's 110 feet, one saying it's 109, and the court decides. That's what land court's all about. It's just an expert testimony and an opinion. It's, and you study a long time and you pay a lot of money to get the stamp, but it is still just an opinion. to
I
draw
guess
up.
I just want to make sure that the board isn't approving something that, if there's a question about it, that comes back to bite the board.
I think it would bite the applicant, so we probably should get an answer. You know?
I don't want to hold them up. Could
Yeah, I
we,
don't
could we do this? Could we do this? Could
I
we
mean,
do
if
something
I
where?
could just, I mean, here, I have the
Just have
plan
them
up. I do
verify.
have the plan up here. So from this point, right,
Yeah,
all the way over to here,
yeah.
that measures 170. So that's the length,
Yeah.
170.
That's your frontage on,
Scale.
Now,
On-
the plan that was approved for Patches Lane, this is the point of tangent, begins here for that radius to there, so there's another point there. When you do look at the assessor's data, it shows a 90-degree, but that's your radius, that's your 30-foot radius from here to here. So I'm only seeing what we do have for assessing.
That radius is labeled as 18 feet, .79, right?
Yeah,
2 feet long.
yeah, 32.28. So there is only one point of tangent from that point
To there.
to there.
Correct.
That's shown. Now, on the plan, this is the plan. What are you seeing different, Rob?
Well,
You see the 425 line.
I'm seeing 94 here.
Yeah,
I'm seeing 170. If that's 94, what's the 425 speaking to? So somehow those three just aren't coming together for me. And again, there's this bearing here, this delta associated with the radius, and this is also associated with the same 850-foot radius, but they're two different deltas, and a flag goes up for me when I see that. I'm sure there's in the surveyor's world, I'm sure there's a reason why it is that way. Is it, taking Harry's cue so we don't hold them up and whatnot, can we approve this A&R plan because of what it is, and it just it's the right thing to do, it makes sense, but just get some agreement that they will verify this question for us, clarify this question for us? Or it doesn't matter?
I would say if that is a remnant or something like that from an old, it's supposed to be written across Teddy Street on
Street
the
or
other
something,
side
yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Most people would get it, so.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna find out anyway.
I'm sure you are. Now you know you got it.
Yeah, it's probably, maybe nothing more than that. Maybe that's the way to handle that. And just for me,
Where's the
talking it out
425?
like that helps me, and listening to Harry helps me with that.
It's just what-
Yeah, it's the 420.
Okay.
We have, the endorsement is determination of conformance with zoning,
Yeah, that note's there, so.
and all the other notes are appropriate, and
Yep.
I wonder if he took the subdivision plans and overlaid his number, maybe that number came from a subdivision.
Could have. But so is it clear what my questions
You
were
want
that you can
clarity
talk to him about?
of the length of the 425.
Yeah, and those two bearings.
Yeah, the two bearings and the total doesn't add up. Where the
Just something wasn't jiving, and he's probably gonna say, this goes here, and he'll show you, and you'll go, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll.
And then you'll feel comfortable.
Okay.
main thing.
And if not,
And we
you can get
email
it
John.
fixed.
Yeah.
Okay,
So if it's something that does require new Mylar, do we have to come back or just submit a new plan and like stretch that out? Like how's,
I don't think of what I'm going on and
Yeah.
talking
Well, I
with
can tell
Harry,
we have a Mylar,
so
and
I
I have a
think we're all
Sharpie.
set.
and you find that, and you find those bearings
I don't think
offensive.
so.
okay, thank you.
How much of a holdup is it gonna be to get this cleared up right off?
It's-
Phone call.
Yeah, it'll be a quick
Yeah,
call.
so you
I
can
don't know
come
about-
in,
It's just
yeah.
coming back and, yeah.
I think rather than, you put things off, and say you wanted to sell it in a month, and this comes up, I mean, it's,
Hey, I bought it like this and didn't realize it, and it refinanced like 3 times and no one picked up on it.
Yeah.
So again,
I've been there
it
30
could,
years.
it could be all just perfect, so
Yeah.
I think just have the conversation with him, and it's probably gonna be fine. I'm tending to be, after talking it out, and listening to Harry, I'm tending to think that, I would recommend that the board go ahead and endorse this A&R plan and leave it to the applicant that we've expressed this question mark, and they could.
If, you know what, if the note up here didn't say existing frontage and proposed frontage on Tenny Street, 170 feet,
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, you're talking about your frontage, and that could mess you up.
Right.
but it says it right there in wording.
And the frontage is the most, is the part
That's
of the
the only
A9
thing
that
we're
counts.
concerned
That's-
about, but we're just
Right.
Yeah.
concerned about, I am anyway.
The only thing that would make sense, right? He did stop and he put the measurement in, but he stopped at that stone bound, right?
The stone bound up
Right
there?
here, yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
so he stopped, so the total measurement from this point here, right?
Yeah.
All the way up to there, I measure out at 395.49.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, so we're dealing with a 30-foot discrepancy, right? I'm thinking he just did not include continuing up.
Could be.
Going in, it would be
Maybe to the boundary. This-
westerly
That boundary,
direction, yeah,
Could be.
for some reason. So
Okay.
he could, the survey's probably correct, except he did not show the continuation because,
Fell off the page.
yeah, right.
And that's probably the border of
Yeah, you know what,
McGann property.
Yeah,
So that's the border.
And see, see what I'm talking about, Rob?
Mike's property
Yep, I do.
goes further
See this
out.
parallel line here, this one here? If you
Yeah.
run that parallel,
Yeah.
it goes, it, in all likelihood, goes to this
That's
way.
the butter, yeah.
Yeah, we could match that up, so
Yeah.
that's probably the missing,
Yep.
30 feet.
I mean, and you're correct, the survey closes when you follow some of those, so the information's there, and it's just, so, enough said.
Mr. Chairman, if you'll hear it, I will make a motion to endorse the A and R plan, plan of land, Georgetown, Mass, Donahoe survey, and the date is 6/26/18 stamped by Adam Donahoe.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So the motion has been made and been seconded by Tilly to endorse the plan of land in Georgetown, Mass property of Gene Nevins and Michael Paglia and Melissa Rose. Scale 1/30 dated June 26, 2018, surveyor Donahoe Survey, Inc. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do appreciate the genius too.
Thank you.
That he took
Let us know if
to
there's anything.
precisely move the corner of the boundary
Oh,
so that they were equal areas. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Man,
yeah,
You know what, if you add up that, that's 424.
there it is.
There it is, right there.
Right there?
If you add up
That was
to
60.
30,
Bang, bang.
Two,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So that's
exactly.
right there.
Yeah, that's that number.
all right.
Your answer.
Check
Do
out
we
the
wanna-
two, check
do
out
we
the
wanna
two different
give that to
deltas, those bearings.
That's it. We gotta endorse that. You guys wanna do it now?
Sign it and take
Well,
it.
I don't wanna break up the meeting to do that. So we'll sign it after the meeting and it'll be in the morning.
Tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow morning, I can.
Thank you.
What time?
8 o'clock,
Thank you.
give or take.
All right. So, we have the one public hearing, that was scheduled, and John, do you wanna give an overview? We've already extended it with the Form H, so I'm not sure what you wanna say.
You know what, kind of a silver lining that came out of an error, and that was that our last week's meeting wasn't properly noticed, and, but neither were the abutter notices sent out by the applicant.
Good karma.
Yeah. It's always good to have something like that happen.
Geez, I should be away more often. Kinda adds to it.
Yeah, when you find a silver lining
Absolutely.
in
So,
the very dark clouds, when you find out, oh, what? So, anyway, that's, it'll work out really well for us, I think, because the plans will be that far along. And I think, you know, when we do have our public hearings, I think if we have the opportunity to have revisions to an initial peer review with a response letter accompanying the revised plans at that initial meeting, we're that much farther along.
So
yeah.
you would anticipate that they would heed Larry's comments?
Yeah, and
And
then,
come in with new plans?
right, and if they have any issues with Larry's comments that they don't want to revise and would rather, you know, explain things to the planning board, you know, that's normal course of events.
And I would, I
These
would
plans are
caution.
gonna be.
We're gonna see revised from this?
Yeah, yeah. I would just
So-
say,
so let
I
me-
would say, Harry, it only makes sense, because why did we wanna start from ground zero when we know there's some fairly significant engineering concerns? And, you know, they can start working with one another on them.
So, here's my only concern. They take this time now to revise the plans that we have in hand that Larry reviewed. And they write a cover letter identifying what they've revised per Larry's review. If we don't get that in our packets, I, as the chair, am not going to bring that information in, and we're gonna have that information in Larry's letter to go with, and they need to understand that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And right now, I don't even know if it's going to go beyond what exists today. We have Larry's. You know, I don't know how busy these guys are, and whether or not they're gonna be able to revise the plans, or, but I'm just guessing,
We're swamped out there. It's
Yeah.
it's crazy.
yeah,
It's just crazy.
yeah. So, you know,
So,
play it
don't-
by ear, and this
Don't use
is,
them as drop cloths yet.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, just bring them with you.
Okay.
Until further noticed.
Okay, so, I guess if there's no more discussion on that, I'm just gonna move on to member of public concerns. Briefly, with the light department, we've been working, with Nick Lawler. He's been absolutely fantastic to work with the Georgetown Light Department. We have, already accomplished, a section of 4,000 K lights that were on North Street in residential. Those were changed to 3,000 K. There will be no more 4,000 K lighting, for health reasons done in the town, other than what already exists. We've accomplished that, and the third is we're looking at and trying to come up with a solution for the decorative lanterns that they have, which are those 12-foot high, you know, old-fashioned style lanterns. We're trying to come up with a solution to that so that we can replace the lights that exist on the old projects like Little's Hill. If you go up there, they have those same lanterns, but they are the old yellow light inside. And we're trying to find a way to come close to matching those at the same time as the new ones. So anyways, it's been great working with Nick.
Privately owned Little's Hill.
When those are changed, yep, those lights, they're provided by, the light department. Yep. And they're not going to be using, my understanding is well, I shouldn't say that because I'm not totally clear about that in talking with Nick, but, so that's just an update, and I guess the best news of it all is that the planning board and the lighting department are talking together and working together, and that's really a wonderful thing.
That's
So,
great. Congratulations.
Thank you
was
for all your
yours.
support.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember there was
stuck
some,
to
yeah, there was some
Some tension.
territoriality, yeah, and, which really was not our.
That's what we want,
You wanna
common
get into the
ground.
lighting business, but.
No,
part of
exactly,
the planning.
Shouldn't be
exactly.
that much of a disconnect.
So then just going on to the G Mello meeting that we had Monday night. The chairs of the departments were there, Conservation Commission, ZBA, myself, Joe Bonavita, Gary Fowler was there, Doug Dawes was there, John was there, Mike Farrell, and then the two gentlemen from, and someone else was there.
Chairman of the ZBA.
No, yeah, he was there.
Steve,
Jeff
was
was
he there?
there. Steve was not there. He's on vacation.
Oh.
But anyways, and then the two people from G Mello, the owner, and I forget the younger guy's name who's really running the show there. And basically, it just seems that there was consensus, and tell me what you think, John. It just seems like there was this sense or consensus that a more appropriate site for them to develop would be the site that is when you go down the end of Carlton Drive. You get to the end of Carlton Drive and you're looking at 95. It's that lot, the vacant lot on the left.
On the left.
And I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you were on the board then or not, 2004. If you were on planning board then,
No.
2004, okay.
Don't call
So
it.
we approved a project that,
Era.
from Mira. You were on the board.
No, I
Oh,
wasn't, but I
Yeah,
remember.
Yeah, so we approved, they were gonna do a trucking facility there. And it went through Concom, went through all of the boards, it was approved, the project was approved, and so the good news is that, you know, that property has been looked at once before. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind. The traffic would potentially only be going there, the trucking would only be going there via 95 coming in, it wouldn't be coming through the town. And so that part of the traffic, it would make a lot of sense.
Just to
And
clarify, in my mind,
Yep.
Carlton Drive is the last left on 133 before
Correct.
95.
Correct.
Where the
I don't-
sign is, welcome to Georgetown?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yep. So you drive
Do you
down
wanna see
there
it?
and, yeah,
Okay, hold on.
yeah.
Thought you
So,
were telling me to
um,
close it down.
And that's, yeah, so that was just the discussion, and that was just sort of how it kind of ended up, and they're taking that back and considering.
You can just drag it.
Yeah.
And this really would
Drag
be
it, you'll drive
to
yourself crazy.
develop a new transfer
A new
station.
transfer station, a bigger, better transfer station.
Will they keep the old one?
No. No.
So what would happen to that land?
Good question.
Like, are they still responsible for it?
The town
Um,
owns that.
Oh, the town owns it, okay.
Yeah.
The town does own that. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So there would have to be, and it was made clear that, you know, they'll have
Good
to
hit.
go through some hoops for the
Yeah.
approval of
Good
this.
hit.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's it.
Is it 1568?
1546.
15 Oh, oh.
And how many acres is that, 2, you said?
7?
7?
14.57.
Wow, that's a lot of acreage.
I mean, there's a
nice.
chunk of wetlands out there, but the abutters are so much further away. They're like less than half the abutters to this property as they were to their current site. You know,
If I recall, they even, I believe the Concom even demarcated the wetlands.
oh, yeah.
There were posts put up, if I recall.
Oh, that I don't know.
The actual
Yeah,
the
yeah,
concrete
yeah.
posts,
This is gonna be complicated.
Yeah.
especially around the
But,
back.
but the point is, that site was approved and designed on paper, and all the wetlands were worked with, and this was for a trucking company for, Mira. And so
That's cool.
it takes like the same amount of, built environment, hardscape for their trucking company as it's going to for G Mello. So it just seemed to make sense, and so,
Well,
That's kinda how it went.
Was it a trucking company?
Yeah.
I thought he was just gonna put offices up
Here
there.
we go.
no, it was a trucking
Oh.
company.
You know, as you can see with this aerial, it's last year.
And there was actually some sensitive stuff because they were stockpiling some, I forget what it was, but they were stockpiling some sensitive materials, and so there was a lot of concern with Conservation Commission about how that was being dealt with for stormwater management, and Matt Broussard was the civil engineer, and he did a great job with that project. But, so, you know, we'd wanna see, we can't talk about this much really, but,
But that's it's a great thing to
possibility.
think about.
Yeah.
Do
So-
do we know who these guys are?
We do, but I don't. Who are they? Harry, do you know?
What guys?
The
The
butter.
We might end up looking at them for a facility, right?
Is that commercial space there, or is that?
Yeah.
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 No, it's commercial.
So Enos sold
So it's
that?
good.
It's a golf course.
Enos doesn't own it anymore? No?
Mm-mm.
So,
This is very interesting.
Trust
Yeah.
This is good
stuff.
work.
Who knows
yeah,
who's
so
working
that
on
was
it.
good. It
Stuff,
seemed
yeah.
like it was a productive meeting.
Certainly an unexpected outcome.
Yeah, yeah.
The only caveat, though, they may end up continuing negotiations with the present site too.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
That's cool.
I'm glad.
This is like,
Glad you said
this
that.
is alternative.
Fallback.
plan, yeah.
Plan B.
Yeah.
Always good to have a plan B.
Yeah.
National Ave site wasn't well received because, you know, we're still trying to figure out what the long-term use is on that side, or uses could be on that site. And, you know, that's been given a lot of attention by the Economic Development Committee, and, you know, Rizzo's land is for sale,
Is it?
our land, yeah.
That's that triangle that blocks the
Yeah,
frontage?
it's 24 acres, all of his parcels combined, a lot of it's wet, but, you know, there's some usable stuff there, and, you
What's
know,
he want for
ultimately what you could be looking at is a much larger, multi-use project over there if the economy supports it. Let me get back out of here.
It was a little odd at the meeting, that,
So this is our town-owned property here. And this is all Rizzo stuff here
That's, yeah,
that had to do with that land court case that was recently decided. So, but that's on the market also. That
what do you want
property.
for that, John? Is there, what's the asking price? Do you remember?
Yeah, I don't even think it's advertised. but
Oh,
that they're thinking.
okay. So, the last item that I wanted to mention for public was, I don't fully understand, the process right now, and maybe you can help shed a little light on this, and this is blindsiding you. I didn't talk to you about this. The potential cannabis projects that are coming into town, my understanding is there's supposed to be a host agreement, and then there's the planning board, and that those are sort of the two gatekeepers of the process. So, what I don't understand is, that where are the public hearings with the selectmen for
The host
the
agreement.
host agreements? Cause I'm not seeing any public hearings for the selectmen to do their job with their part of this, and then we have our public hearings for our part.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, the host agreement aspect for these businesses allowed under the, we'll call it recreational marijuana businesses.
Yep.
The host agreement is part of the state certification process, which includes, as an aside, a public meeting whereby the abutters of the particular property, subject to the application, the applicant has to have a community meeting at a site that's designated.
The applicant does.
Yeah, yeah, so they have a community meeting.
Not planning.
No, excuse me, I'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but that's part of the state certification process.
Okay.
And then part of that is getting a host agreement with the Board of Selectmen, which does not include a public hearing.
It doesn't include a
No.
public hearing.
And, you know, they're working individually with each
I
applicant.
didn't know that. I just assumed,
No, so that the public hearing aspect of which all abutters within 300 feet
Yeah.
of the property, that public hearing is held by the planning board in accordance with our bylaw, recently approved by the AG's office, town meeting this spring. It's a special permit and it's a site plan if it involves a new structure. It would be a site plan even with the retrofitting
Right.
of a structure.
right.
So,
Okay.
now, I do want to bring up to the board's attention, we do have our first hearing, public hearing scheduled for August 22nd. Now, I want to preface all of this. This is for Healthy Farms application to ultimately apply for and get permission from the town to open up the first retail center.
Because they have the first refusal or first right to that, correct, in their
Correct.
agreement?
They have that. Now, this application does not involve any physical modification to the outside of the building.
Yeah.
So you have the existing facility, and they have the medical dispensary,
Yeah.
and they're going to, you know, cordon off, in accordance with the requirements of state law, cordon off the area for retail sales versus those of medical. So they're gonna still continue to sell medical. So they have not, with their application, submitted a site plan.
Okay.
We already have a site plan on record.
Correct.
And if you read carefully the bylaw, it makes provision for that they don't have to submit that. It's an amending, action of the existing site plan of record. So that ultimately what we're doing, we'll look at the plan that was approved. We'll look at the decision of the planning board, and it's the previous medical marijuana decision that would be amended to include the language to allow them to operate the business that they're proposing
Okay.
in accordance with the language that's provided with the state
Well,
requirements.
so I have a lot of questions, but I'll wait till we have that meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
now, yeah,
Can
in
I-
if I could just continue real quickly, in preparation for the hearing, I have made sure that the applicant has the board's previous decision, the previous site plan itself, our bylaw, and also, what did I give them? Their application. And, you know, I'm dealing with their, pretty much their person on site as opposed to their counsel. So I posed the question to their counsel to look at these documents and be prepared to make sure that you're complying with everything that is required of our bylaw. And to suggest language that must be amended with the previous decision so that we do have a new decision and it complies with everything. So,
I wanna
you know,
be,
we're working, this is our first application in this thing. It's really first up
Yeah.
at bat.
and this will be a public hearing?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't wanna get into this too much.
No, no,
It's-
no,
yeah.
it's completely objective and, you know, we're just making sure that all the
Okay.
Ts are crossed when we get to the
Okay.
point where we're having our public hearing.
Do we-
When do you expect that to be?
We're having our first public hearing, and that would be on August 22nd, so it's coming right up.
When do you expect the planning board to?
To hear it,
Yeah.
the 22nd,
So that'll be at the next meeting.
yeah. I
That-
do have.
That's not on the minute. You
No.
said, you hear it says,
Here it is.
next
Now-
meeting date's 12 September.
Oh, no, this is the next, that was for, that's for 66 Parish Road. This is a draft agenda as it stands right now for, the August
We
22nd.
don't, I don't think we got that
We
one.
have an update.
This is
That's
a new-
been
this
updated.
is a
I held,
That's
yeah,
the
I held
schedule.
this back,
Oh,
and
okay.
just
All
giving
right.
it to you guys now. Typically, we wouldn't do this, but, you know, I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed with what's going on for our next meeting. We haven't had, you know, regular meetings for a while, so, you know, we're getting back on track.
So are we gonna be getting a packet?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Back to your host agreement question. As I remember watching the
Guess I don't get a
selectmen's
copy.
meeting, they pretty much came to a mutual agreement privately, but when it came to actually voting on that, it had to be public, as I recall, and they voted to support it, and they all had to sign it. I remember them signing
Yeah.
at the regular meeting on the selectmen.
All right.
And they've been conducting themselves under the advice of town council.
Oh, I'm
Right.
sure.
Yeah,
Do
closely.
can you share with the board, John, how many other projects associated with this little gem of a plant?
Well, we do have one host agreement with Healthy Farms, and then there's another one on Carlton Drive that's been executed.
Yeah.
Okay. best of my-
Executed?
Yeah,
The host agreement?
yeah,
That's been finalized and signed?
yeah,
Really?
yeah. Now, there's a couple of caveats that go along with all this. There's another one that I'm aware of, and that's.
If they're not official, let's not even bring them up.
Right, but just in a.
But if
in
they're
a-
official.
In a general sense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of activity.
We're a small town, how much?
There's a lot of calls that are being made. There's property being purchased. Now, it's going to take, in my estimation, there'll be months before we see plans,
I do.
because engineers are so busy. You
Yeah.
know, if you buy a raw piece of land,
Yeah, no.
you know.
For the
beyond
last
what-
30 years, our industrial district has just sat there like
Not
something.
anymore, Harry.
Like like a desert wilderness or something with nothing blowing through it, but
But
Unbelievable.
weeds.
now
leaf.
the weeds have changed.
Okay, so, so that's it for, member of public.
Yeah, and I just wanna say, it's not gonna be a flood of site plans we'll be dealing with. These things will trickle in just because of the economy so busy, and engineers, there's just so many of them that can develop these plans, and,
Yeah.
you know, they're months out.
It'll be throttled by the host agreements anyway.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
throttle.
now, and this is one of the issues that's popped up. Even if they don't have their final approval by the state,
Who's they?
the applicants,
Oh, okay.
they're gonna have the right to come in and apply for site plan and, special permits, with the condition being that, nothing's final until they get all of their state.
That's at their risk though,
Yeah,
correct?
right, that's at their risk. So, it is a race going on right now, and it's not going to tie them up. And I'll give you, for instance, there's over 1,100 permit applications with the Cannabis Commission, for just retail, and there are 7 other types of businesses allowed, right, just for retail, and they've only issued formally one. It was in Lancaster.
1,100 and they've issued one. And it's a big one in Lancaster, isn't it? It's a
Yeah.
big facility, right?
But
Gonna be a busy
you're talking about a
place.
bottleneck, they're not ready.
No, they aren't. They never were, and they,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're not the only ones experiencing at the local level. I don't think the state's set up to handle the volume.
It's gonna be a little bumpy ride in the beginning, I think, no question about it.
And I just wanted to give you a bird's eye view of what goes on in the office. I get a call, at least one a day, if not 2, anywhere from, well, I'm thinking about, sophisticated people. I'm thinking about starting up a business in my garage. And, I'm going to grow, and then I'm going to convey that to one of these bigger operations. And it's like, I don't think you'd be able to do that.
Sounds like a
These are very
co-op.
controlled environments.
Sounds like a co-op.
Yeah, sounds like, you probably, yeah, it might be a co-op, a legally organized co-op as
All right.
opposed to the
Yeah.
local growers.
Well, on that note, is there anything else that anybody wanted to talk about?
I have a couple of notes that I've made, scratched out. One was that, the code book that we had voted for you to check with Mike.
Yeah.
What happened to that?
I'm gonna have to move in a direction of a personal appearance before the Board of Selectmen, because as the chairman and I talked about the other night, when we had a chance to converse, it's of utmost importance. That's the number one thing we have to accomplish, is getting that zoning book up to speed
Okay.
date-wise. Right now, you're looking at the 2011 zoning ordinance online, missing a lot of amendments, and, it's put us in a poor position.
Well, why do you have to go to the meeting? I mean, why can't Mike?
It's just, it costs money to bring it up.
It's the money issue.
Yeah.
So you have to get some support to get others to move.
Sadly, we had the money,
Yeah.
but the actions of the Board of Selectmen caused us to not have the money.
I'm afraid to ask.
Our
No.
assistants,
Well, if they don't do it, then we do it ourselves. That's how I felt. This is critical.
I'm drawing a blank.
our assistant went full-time, remember?
Got it,
We had the money.
got it.
We used
Okay.
that money to pay her salary for the full-time.
And I'd like to know,
We had the money.
That's right.
Yeah, that's where it went.
well, I'd like to get that moving.
Well, again, you gotta look at it. It's not just our bailiwick, it's the town
It's the whole
bailiwick.
town.
That's right.
When you set that meeting up, John, keep me appraised and I'll try to attend that with you.
Yeah, it's just a matter of coordinating off, a sum equal to what needs to, and we know it's in the $5,000 range, so, that amount has to be found in the budget somewhere so that we can actually accomplish this one major important task, and that's bringing the zoning ordinance up to speed, and also having a copy of it so that we can publish it. And, people still use hard copies of zoning ordinances, and, that's a wash.
Legally,
You.
anyone is supposed to be able to walk up to the clerk's office
Yeah.
and request it,
Yeah.
and give them the $25 and get an up-to-date copy.
Yeah.
And if they walk out with the 2011 regulations and go spend
It's not up to
$15,000 getting engineering plans that aren't up to snuff because
Yeah.
what they've been given officially by the town clerk is out of date,
Right.
then I'd say,
Town
there's your
select-
And
$5,000 right there.
Harry,
to
There's your $5,000
how
right
much
there.
time I spent last year compiling what had
I
been,
know.
that nobody had a hard copy of any of that, and then just last week I found out via you being asked, there was some more amendments
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that-
Does this have to, do we have to get money through town meeting specifically for this? I mean, that would really be a very embarrassing thing, I would think, for the town fathers.
Well, I can tell you,
I
you know,
don't
when it
think
comes
it's
time
in
for our budget, I mean, if they haven't
That's
coughed up the
right. It
dough,
has to-
I mean, we should definitely add it to
Yeah,
our budget.
Yeah.
You know what?
I'd hate to wait another
More-
year,
More
but-
than anything, what this really boils down to is just someone staying on it, carrying the ball, and getting it done. And that hasn't been what has taken place over the last few years. So, you know what, I don't mind, I'm picking up the ball and getting this thing through the end zone as best I can at this point in time. And Chairman, if you know, would like to come to the meeting, or any other board member, it's just that we recognize the
think it-
importance of it. It's nothing that you can really ignore at this point in
Every
time.
board, I mean.
But you wrote a
we're
letter,
making
did you get a
decisions
response
based
from
on
him?
Our memories of, no,
That's the problem.
not this one.
That's right, no,
Now,
All right,
So
I
let's-
got a
let's
couple
look-
of lists here. I got some more on this, scratching out here. Was the stormwater, regs and the erosion. That's one of those emails that I had sent you that Andover has it 3 pages long. And if we could get a copy, we could all look at it. It's basically a lot of the things that we already have in the subdivision regs. You know, all we could do is look at it, see what, oh, you got it?
well, I have our regs and I have our bylaw on erosion
Okay,
control, okay? And so,
We don't have regs.
Okay, so
That's the issue.
no, they're, in the subdivision control, there
Oh.
are
this
regs.
is, okay, this is what.
This, we don't need to be doing
No,
this right now.
Cause what I need is for this stuff to come to us in a packet that's on an
Right,
agenda that
yeah.
cause if I start getting it now, what's gonna happen is it's gonna go in this pile, which then goes into this pile and goes into another pile, next thing I know, I've lost it, so
Okay.
if you
Can I
hold
just-
on that.
Can I walk that around in another way to the MS4 permits? Because what
Yeah.
we're talking about they're doing to create regulations, it almost sounded to me like Merrimack Valley Planning Commission under the MS4 stormwater permits and
Gang.
Joe Cosgrove?
Cosgrove,
Joe
yeah.
Cosgrove?
Yep.
It sounds like they'll assist us as part of the MS4 goals that we have to achieve after a year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, now,
I don't know.
you know, since this emerged, say over the last couple of months, and we've gotten up to speed with doing the reporting for 14, 15, 16, and 17, leaving 18. I've really spent some time studying the issue now. I'm gonna bring back some memories here, but this is the, whoa, no, sorry. Stormwater Management Program,
Coffee man.
2003, 2008, it was almost empty. So, everybody remember seeing this beautiful document that actually spells out everything having to do with MS4, Phase 1 and Phase 2. So, and then there's a much thicker book that goes along with this. But
Would you just give Joanne just a 2-sentence summary of what that is?
when Phase 1 and Phase 2 of MS4, in MS4, all that really means is that getting the pollutants out of the stormwater that falls from the sky, getting as many of the pollutants out of the system, you know, that pours into our streams, our rivers, our lakes,
So that's basically what this whole thing is
you know,
about.
getting animal waste, getting
So cleaning-
pesticides, getting.
cleaning it all up,
Yeah,
yeah.
trying to clean everything up so that, you know, we have cleaner rivers, you know, sediments, you know. When you have a construction site, you know, they bulldoze everything and the next thing you know, you have a torrential downpour. And if you don't have your bales of hay, you don't have your tubes of hay with the silt fence, you know, properly cordoning off that site, it just seeks its own level and strangleholds, you know, streams, and, you know, any aquatic life gets killed. You know, with, you know, a lot of erosion. Erosion is the number one issue of which pollutes our rivers and streams more than anything else. And then it's all the other stuff. So,
And this would be for new developments.
yeah,
Or
any
anywhere.
excavation,
Any excavation.
anything that causes foliated terrain to be defoliated. You know, if you're digging a foundation hole, you know, and you're stockpiling all the dirt, you know, over to the right, and it's
Gotcha.
15 feet high, and you know, it's just not properly cordoned off. Now, if you do want to see anything in action right now, properly cordoned off in a very environmentally sensitive area, they have started the work. I took some photos of this, but they have started the work behind the Georgetown Plaza for the parking lot. So you have that stream bed, and the new parking improvements in the back. And, you know, they started that work a week ago. And it's probably gonna be done in 3-4 weeks' time. So it's gonna be a fast operation, but, you know, number one,
That's gonna be pervious pavement, right?
yeah, yeah, oh, yeah.
Wait to go back there with my water bottle.
Yeah, but they're working as rapidly as they can. You know, Steve's been on the site, you know, pre-con meetings and everything else, so they did it all right. Because the stream bed is right there. So they have the silt fence up, they have, you know, the extra large tubes all staked out on this side of the silt fence. And it's all contained. They did have a pretty good-sized rain event, you know, over the weekend. So when I was down there on Monday morning, you know, you had some sizable puddles, but the damming effect, you know, held for the silt fence and the bale tube.
And you know what else, John, was the, when I read the 40B approval on East Main Street, the lawyer composed a couple of paragraphs for the maintenance of the storm drains. And I thought that was another good thing that we should have.
Oh, yeah, but see, Tilly, they're all required to do that.
Yeah.
We've been practicing MS4 for years, you know.
Yeah, but as far as our regs and everything, we have never followed up on putting it right down on decisions.
Yeah, we do not have the regulations, but we have the bylaw.
Yeah.
And plus, you cannot develop property with
Well, when
a
they
spade
develop
in
it,
your
I'm not thinking of just the develop, I'm thinking about after the fact. Like there's a set pattern of, you have to check this next year, 2 years, and it's a maintenance plan to
Right.
clean it.
It's a SWIP.
We've never done that, have we?
Well, I think that happens with, doesn't that happen with the DEP?
DEP, the Conservation Commission. You know,
Because
there's-
it's a
There's
40
a perpetual care element that goes along with this. You just can't, you know, put it all together and forget about it. You know, all these rain gardens that they're putting in, you know.
The
all
difficult part is the
speak-
follow-up of it, to make sure that when they do have those maintenance plans.
Well, this
that
is a
follow-up,
condominium
Sweeping
set.
and things like that.
People don't
Did-
have the time or getting paid
Yeah,
for
I
it.
mean, there's.
This is a condominium setup, and we've got a development that will be a condominium setup.
Absolutely.
And I think that should be in the condominium contract.
And it will be, but in New England, the problem is we get just enough rain so that, you know, not properly maintained environment becomes weed bound. And then, you know, the cherry, choke cherry trees come out, the vines and
hear ya.
everything else. I mean, we're almost,
Sometimes
we're
if
almost in a
you-
jungle environment if it's not maintained as a lawn.
So,
Well, that's another issue. And then,
we need to have sort of a limit on member of public concerns at some point.
I got no
We have
concerns.
a lot of concerns.
we've got, well, this is an
I'm
old
happy.
list that, you know, it's been ongoing.
I'm glad you brought that stuff up. That's,
Well, yeah, I didn't,
No,
it's
this is
excellent.
Part of an envelope shit.
Back of an envelope thought.
You
not
had
that big an
mentioned,
envelope.
you had mentioned a downtown waste assessment. Is that
Yeah.
completed?
No, not yet. We're waiting for that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I noticed they were supposed to be done by July 17th, they said.
Right.
This guy Dan told you that.
Yes, yeah.
And now we're in August and it's
And,
not done.
And he hasn't been paid, so, so we're making sure that doesn't happen until we're satisfied with the results.
Okay, all right.
He
so
knows
that's- Okay.
Yeah. It's just been,
And the other thing was that you had mentioned a market analysis at National Lab.
yeah,
How did that come out?
you got a draft copy of that, didn't you? No, I'll send you that.
Okay, thank you.
Include that as correspondence or
Yeah,
something in the
didn't
agenda?
everybody get copies of that?
I
You got a
think-
copy of it, I know.
I think there was some kind of an email glitch there.
Yeah.
I really think there was an email glitch. Something's
Yeah, I
going
read-
on with, something's going on with,
Well, you know what, Comcast, I called them up the other day, because I was wondering what the heck is going on with the email. And nationwide, they've either been hacked or whatever, they won't admit that they've been hacked, but no one's been able to get emails, and they're still messed up. Oh, yeah, Comcast, and that's been going on for over 2 weeks.
What was the phrase, that the lights are blinking and they're blinking red or something?
Yeah, yeah.
Dan Coates?
And the last one that I have is mixed use. We got that approved now, that zoning amendment for mixed uses.
Yeah.
But we don't have any kind of requirements in it. We don't have, we can call them regs, but we don't have anything connected to it.
Well, no, I mean, we do, they have to submit for a special permit.
Right, that's
slash
all, but I
site
mean,
plan.
what I'm saying is, like, I will, just off the top of my head, if there's an apartment upstairs, how are the accesses? Is there 2 accesses, is there 1? Is it outside, is it inside?
No, they'd have to.
There's a whole
comply.
lot of,
Yeah, but they'd have to comply, that's
state building.
building permit, and that's
Right.
the fire code that has to
Right.
be met, that's the building
Which
inspector.
would not be us at all.
Yeah.
well, I've seen, from other communities, and they have, a couple pages
Right,
when in the special permit process.
but,
In zoning.
that goes, it can be a verbal concern of ours, and we can condition it, but that's a permit process of which the fire department has jurisdiction along with the building department.
Yeah.
We're working hand in hand. So, I mean, they're all about life safety and to the nth degree, and,
Of course,
So,
naturally,
I mean,
which we are too.
yeah, we are too, but, they're
Except for
actually,
marijuana.
they're the ones that are experts and get paid for it.
And it's
Right.
not our job.
Right. It's like blasting,
Okay.
that's the state fire.
Any- Anything else, everybody?
Need a permit.
So seeing no more, do I hear a motion?
To adjourn the meeting. Mr.
Second.
Chairman.
So
Second.
moved, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
So next meeting, August 20th.